You've got that dream, right? Owning rental properties.
Mm-hmm. The passive income dream.
Exactly. Rent checks just roll in, your wealth is building, life feels easy.
Yeah, until it isn't.
Right. Then reality hits. You know, the late night call, burst pipe, or the tenant who just disappears.
Or chasing down rent month after month.
It happens. Suddenly that passive income thing feels, well, a lot more like a second job, a stressful one.
Definitely.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to cut through that common illusion. We're talking about the real core of successful real estate investing, mastering property management.
Because owning the property, that's a great way to build wealth. We all know that.
Yeah.
But the real key to long-term success, and frankly, your sanity,
Yeah.
is managing it well.
So true. And for this deep dive, we're leaning on a really great source. It's called Mastering Property Management, Build a System for Long-Term Success.
Yeah.
It's from the How to REI 101 series.
And it lays out a really solid framework, for smooth operations, keeping tenants happy,
Which is crucial.
and obviously maximizing your profits.
So our mission today, for you listening, is to really unpack the key steps. And there's this thing the source calls the missing step. We'll get into that. It's about building a system that actually works.
Right. Whether you manage it yourself or hire someone.
Yep. We want to give you that shortcut, basically, to being really clued in on this vital part of real estate. So let's dive in.
Okay, so the first thing right out of the gate that our source points out is this big decision you have to make. It kind of sets the tone for everything else.
The first fork in the road.
Exactly. Do you manage the property yourself or do you hire a pro? And there's no single right answer. It really boils down to, how much time you have, what experience you've got.
And how big your portfolio is already.
Precisely.
Okay, let's tackle self-management first, because it sounds great on paper, doesn't it?
It does. The appeal is
You'll
obvious.
save money, right? Those management fees, which can be like 8 to 12% of the rent each month.
That's significant cash flow right there.
It really is.
Yeah.
And you keep complete control. Tenant selection, maintenance decisions, the finances. It's all you.
Plus, you build that direct connection with your tenants, which some people really value.
But there's always a but, isn't there?
Well, yeah. Let's look at the other side. Self-management is, let's be honest, it's a time suck, especially with multiple properties.
Or just one difficult tenant.
Exactly. And it demands knowledge. You got to understand landlord-tenant laws, which are tricky.
Oh, yeah. Vary by location, too.
You need some basic maintenance know-how, how to resolve conflicts, and maybe the biggest thing, it can be super stressful.
Right. That 3 a.m. emergency call, or just the hassle of finding a new tenant when someone moves out.
It ends up.
Okay, so if that sounds like maybe too much, the other path is hiring a property manager.
The hands-off approach.
Yeah, they handle screening, rent, maintenance calls, all of it. The big plus here is tapping into their expertise, right?
Absolutely. Their know-how, their systems, their network of contractors,
Mm-hmm.
plumbers, electricians, whatever you need.
That seems especially good if you own property far away or have quite a few units.
Definitely. But there are trade-offs. You got to weigh them.
Okay, what are they? Cost is the big one, I imagine.
That's the main one. Those fees we mentioned earlier, they eat directly into your profit, your cash flow, and you give up some direct control. You're trusting someone else with your asset.
Which means you have to trust them. There's a risk, right? Hiring someone who's not great.
There absolutely is. An ineffective or, just lazy manager can cause more problems than they solve. Due diligence is key when hiring.
Our source actually has a neat tip for beginners on this.
Oh, yeah.
It suggests if you're just starting out, try self-managing just one property first.
Like a trial run. Get your feet wet.
Exactly. It's like a boot camp. You get that invaluable hands-on experience, see what it really involves without getting totally swamped.
That makes a lot of sense.
Then, as your portfolio grows, maybe you've got 3, 4, 5 properties, then hiring a manager probably becomes much more practical, maybe even necessary.
You've built that foundational understanding first.
Yeah.
Smart.
Okay, so let's pivot a bit, because this next part, I think, is where the source offers some really unique insight. It talks about this missing step.
Right. This is crucial.
It's about setting up a property management system. And the point is, you need this whether you self-manage or hire a pro. Why do you think this gets missed so often?
That's a really good question. I think maybe people see management as just reacting. Rent's late, fix the leak, answer the phone call, sort of task-based.
It's sort of a process.
Exactly. They don't think of it as an integrated, repeatable system. But a solid system is what makes everything run smoothly, consistently.
Yeah.
Takes you from constantly putting out fires.
To being proactive.
Precisely. And the source really hammers this home. Your system needs to cover 3 core areas. They're all linked: rent collection, maintenance, and tenant communication.
Okay.
Get those systems dialed in, and that's what really drives long-term success and, profitability.
Makes sense. Let's break those down. First up, the rent collection system. You said it's the bedrock.
Absolutely fundamental. Consistent rent collection means steady cash flow, fewer headaches, chasing payments. It's the engine of the investment.
So what does a system for rent look like? More than just like hoping the check arrives.
Definitely more than hope. It's about efficiency and clarity. So you've got options. Many landlords now use online payment platforms.
Like Zelle or Venmo, stuff people use every day.
You can use those, and they're convenient, sure. But for a real system, especially if you have more than one property, dedicated rental platforms are often better. Think Buildium, RentReady, Appfolio.
Okay, what makes them better?
Well, they're built for this. They don't just collect rent. They often integrate with lease tracking, accounting, tenant communication portals. It streamlines everything for both you and the tenant. Plus, you get a clear record.
Gotcha. What else is part of the system?
Automated reminders. Sending out a reminder before the rent is due. Hugely effective in cutting down late payments.
Simple but smart.
And, critically, clear late fee policies. Spelled out right there in the lease agreement. And then, this is key, actually enforcing them. Consistently and legally, of course.
Right. Consistency matters. And the source has another good tip here. Really encourage tenants to set up auto pay.
Oh, absolutely. It takes the whole remembering to pay thing off the table.
Yeah.
Win-win.
Okay, component 2, the maintenance and repairs system. Handling repairs quickly. That keeps tenants happy, but also protects the property itself, right?
Exactly. It preserves the value of your asset. So this system needs to be about efficiency, good communication, and keeping costs reasonable.
So how do you build that system? What are the steps?
First, have a clear process for how tenants submit requests. Is it an online portal? A dedicated email? Avoid scattered texts or voicemails if you can.
Keeps things organized.
Totally. And have a plan for responding quickly, especially to urgent stuff.
Yeah.
Major leaks, no heat in winter. Define what's urgent and how you'll handle it fast.
Okay, what else?
Build a list, a network of reliable contractors before you need them. Don't wait for the emergency.
Good point.
Get recommendations, check their credentials, insurance, find good plumbers, electricians, handymen you trust to do good work at a fair price.
Makes sense.
And finally, something often skipped. Schedule preventative maintenance.
Like servicing the HVAC before it breaks down in July.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or inspecting the roof, cleaning gutters, finding and fixing small issues before they become big, expensive disasters saves a ton of money and hassle in the long run.
That preventative piece feels really important for cost control. And speaking of costs, another tip, have an emergency fund just for repairs.
Essential. Because things will break unexpectedly, no matter how good your system is. Having cash set aside avoids financial stress.
Smart. Okay, third piece of the system puzzle, tenant communication.
Crucial for building trust and just having a smoother relationship. Minimizes disputes.
So how do you systematize communication?
Centralize it. Try to use one main channel. Maybe it's email, maybe it's through your property management software's messaging feature.
So everything's in one place.
Right. Creates clarity, gives you a record. No more, did I text them or email them about that? Aim to respond promptly, too, even if it's just acknowledging you got their message. Within 24 hours for non-emergencies is a good goal.
Shows you're paying attention.
Exactly. And set expectations up front. Put communication guidelines in the lease. How should they report issues? Who do they contact?
That makes sense. Avoids confusion later. And one more point from the source on communication, which seems really vital.
Document everything.
You got it. Keep records of all significant communication. Emails, messages, notes from calls. That paper trail can be invaluable if a dispute ever comes up.
Absolutely. Protects both you and the tenant, actually, by providing clarity.
Okay, so we've talked through setting up these 3 systems: rent, maintenance, communication. But you don't just set them and forget them, right?
Not at all. That's the next step. Once the system's running, you have to monitor it, keep an eye on how it's actually performing.
So what does that look like? What are you tracking?
You need key metrics, like your rent collection rate. Pretty basic.
Yeah.
But are people paying on time? What percentage are you actually collecting each month versus what's due?
Okay.
Maintenance costs and response times. Are repairs getting done quickly? Are the costs staying within budget, or are they creeping up? Are your contractors performing well?
Getting value for your money, basically.
Right. And another big one, tenant turnover rate. Are tenants staying and renewing their leases? Or are you constantly having to find new ones?
Because high turnover is expensive. Vacancy, cleaning, advertising.
It kills profitability.
Yeah.
So you track these things, and then you use that data to make adjustments.
For example.
Well, if rent collection is lagging, maybe you need better automated reminders, or maybe you need to revisit your screening process, or even look at offering an incentive for autopay.
Makes sense.
If turnover is high, maybe you need to invest in some property upgrades, or perhaps your communication isn't as good as you thought, or maybe the rent is just slightly too high for the market.
You investigate the why.
Exactly. And if maintenance costs are climbing, maybe it's time to renegotiate with your vendors. Or maybe that old furnace is costing you so much in repairs, it's actually cheaper in the long run to just replace it now.
Right, making data-driven decisions.
That's the goal of monitoring and optimizing. It's a continuous loop.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. From that initial decision, self-manage or hire, all the way through building and refining these crucial systems.
Yeah, it's clear that good property management isn't just, reacting. It's not just putting out fires.
No, it's really about being proactive. Building these systems for rent, maintenance, communication that streamline everything.
Reduces your stress massively.
For sure. And ultimately maximizes the return on your investment. Doesn't matter if you do it yourself or hire someone, the systems are key.
That's the core message from the source. Absolutely.
All right, so as we wrap up, here's something to maybe chew on a bit, a final thought for you. If having a really well-oiled system for property management can free up so much of your time and boost your profits, what other parts of your life or maybe other investments could benefit from that same kind of systematic approach?
Interesting question.
What's your potential missing step somewhere else? That thing that, if you identified it and built a clear system around it, could unlock a whole new level of efficiency or success or maybe just peace of mind. Something to think about.